All right. Welcome back to All Cars React, y'all. It is time to continue our mini-series on the compact sport utilities of the mid to late 2000s, and we are moving on to the Ford Escape. You will notice this is the third in the series, and I've still not done the RAV4. Well, there's a reason for it, and part of that reason is that I really love the Escape, and I'm looking forward to talking about this one. Now, many of the cars that I talk about, I have experience with them. A friend had them, I had a test drive with them, whatever it happened to be, things like that. This particular vehicle, while I never owned one, I did have one as a company vehicle for, as I recall, a couple of years. So I've had rather extensive experience in one of these vehicles, and a really high opinion of it. I'm excited to go back and reminisce, so sit in your comfy chair, make yourself comfortable. You and I are going to chat, and let me take a little trip down memory lane to when I think Ford may have been better than Honda. Grab that beverage of choice, y'all. We do have some fresh decaf here, and let's get into it. And why I'll explain at the end why I think this may be peak Escape, and everything else has been kind of critically flawed ever since.
Your host for Motorweek, John Davis.
Well, hello and welcome again to Motorweek. We're glad to have you with us. Hoping to maintain its popularity among compact utility buyers, the Ford Escape is redesigned for 2008, and that includes its fuel-saving gasoline-electric hybrid model. But as the most fuel-efficient utility available, Ford didn't want to overdo the hybrid's tweaks. So while if it ain't broke, don't fix it seems to be their approach, there is more to the latest Escape hybrid than just being frugal on gas.
And I need to interrupt here. I should have said it at the beginning. If I had my way, we would be doing just a base four-cylinder one of these. But all I could find was the hybrid review. So unfortunately, that's going to really skew us when we look at the CR-V and the Rogue, and we're trying to compare EPA gas mileage or 0 to 60 times and things like that. I think this is just going to be an outlier. Don't really want it, but it's what was available.
As one of America's most popular compact crossover utilities, over 1 million have been sold. The Escape is among Ford's most important models. So when the 2008 Escape got a thorough rework, Ford engineers decided that a few upgrades to the Escape Hybrid were also in order. The Hybrid's drivetrain still consists of an Atkins cycle version of the Escape's standard 2.3-liter Duratec four-cylinder, which makes 133 horsepower and 124 pound-feet of torque. It's mated to a 70-kilowatt electric motor, which boosts total system output to 155 horsepower. And while there's...
And I don't have a problem with this engine. It was rather agricultural, compared to the Honda, right? Especially the Honda, which was so much more smooth. This was a little more rough and ready, but I never had a big complaint about it because once you were at a cruising speed, whether it was 35 or 55, it was smooth enough. It was quiet enough. It fit the character of, I think, what Ford was trying to go for here. This looks a little more truckish. I hope we talk about styling here in a second. I hope they pause for it, but this looks a little more truckish, and the engine almost fit the character of it, and you didn't miss maybe the smoothness of what you got from the Honda. I will say, however, that 133 horsepower, that's way down. When the CR-V had 166 and the Rogue had 170, even with the electric motor, this is still underpowered.
There's no more power than last year. The application of new software technology from Eco partner Toyota has significantly improved the transition between gas and electric power, making the Escape even more refined. The Escape is a full or strong hybrid, meaning that it can run on electric power alone. The gas engine kicks in at about 25 miles per hour. That means a light-footed driver can easily crawl around parking lots on electric alone. But when you punch it, the hybrid still pulls like it has the gas-powered Escape's available 200 horsepower V6.
I would not have pulled out in front of that truck while they're talking about the all-electric acceleration up to 25. Brave driver. Maybe I'm just overly cautious.
Both Watson ponies are delivered to either front or four-wheel drive by a slick, continuously variable transmission. And all this smooth driving is accomplished while delivering even better fuel economy ratings. The front drive version earns 2008 government fuel economy stats of 34 city, 30 highway. The four-wheel drive model rates 29 city, 27 highway.
So, a couple of things here. First off, my opinion of the engine is that it was reliable. I like the engine. The CVT, if you didn't know it had a CVT, I would have never remembered, honestly. And that's important because when we who are interested in autos talk about Nissans, we always talk about the CVT and the reliability. Here, it's just never been an issue. I don't know that I've ever anywhere on social media where people complain all the time have heard something about Ford's CVT, which is probably the highest praise that you can give to it, in that it's invisible, that it was even there. But the fuel economy, as you could expect with a hybrid, exceptional, really impressive. When you look at the Rogue got 21 and 26 highway, the CRV got 22, 28, and this gets, what was it, 34, 30? That's fantastic. I suspect we're going to feel the pain at the price, but let's continue.
Our front drive test vehicle delivered an impressive 33 miles per gallon on regular grade gas. The Escape Hybrid's energy impact scores are equally impressive at only 10.7 barrels of oil per year for the front driver and 12.2 with four-wheel drive.
You know, if I ever make it big on YouTube, make a lot of money, go buy some land somewhere, build a house on it, and I'm doing one of these reviews and they bring up another one of these stupid energy impact scores, I'm going to go buy a barrel, 42 gallons of oil, and just light it on fire in the backyard. I hate to sound like a curmudgeon about the whole thing, but it's rant off.
The Escape Hybrid's only direct competitor, the Saturn Vue Greenline Hybrid, sports a lower 23 city, 29 highway mileage ratings due to its less sophisticated mild hybrid system. Indeed, Escape Hybrid is the most fuel-efficient sport utility on the planet. All Ford Escapes now turn with electric power-assisted steering. It's quick, but a bit short on feel. Advanced Track electronic stability control is another new standard. The improved acoustic insulation is impressive. It makes Escape drive as quiet as a luxury car. Escape's sibling, the Mercury Mariner Hybrid, gets all these upgrades too, along with the soon-to-arrive Mazda Tribute Hybrid. The 2008 Ford Escape's tough-looking skin is also new. The blunt front end clearly favors its big brother Expedition. The tall egg crate grille and higher hood line are firm steps away from cute utes. The higher belt line gives Escape a more broad-shouldered, grounded profile, one that still rides on 16-inch alloy wheels. Gas-powered Escapes are available with 17 inches for 08. The Escape.
Before they go to the interior, we've got to talk about this real quick. I love this Escape. Okay, the first one was good, but it looked a little unfinished. And then later models, some of the styling I really disliked, and some of the styling I've really, really loved. And I like the current Escape. I like it, the exterior styling. I like it very much. Is it as refined and maybe as elegant as the CRV, the Rogue, the RAV4, and some others? Arguable. But this one specifically, I absolutely love it. Now, I have a preference towards Fords. I have a preference towards buying American. But what I like about this one specifically is, does the CRV look maybe more upscale? Yes. Yes. Does the later Rogue look maybe more upscale? Arguably, yes. This is subjective. It's styling. But this, it's a sport utility, right? Or it's a, CUV. but they made it look a little rugged, and they made it look like its bigger siblings. And I would like to say that Ford at this time, which is right before the Great Recession, actually, I think they were nailing it. I really do. Almost everything they were doing it spoke to me. I loved it. Whether you heard me gush about the midsize sedans and the Fusion, or this, or even the Explorer, the Expedition, their trucks, everything, I think they were just absolutely nailing it. And here they managed to make a sport utility that looks a little more sport utility, less car-like its competitors, but at the same time, it doesn't look like a pretender. They didn't try to make this thing look like a Defender or a 4Runner, right? Something like that. They didn't try to make it look like it's meant to go on safari. It just looks a little more squared off, a little more masculine in a world where a lot of these compact sport utility vehicles erred on the side of a little more feminine. I absolutely adore the styling. Love it. Is it perfect? Of course not, but absolutely adore it. And I can say when I drove one, I was proud every single day to walk out to it. I was never embarrassed to be seen in it. It wasn't ever cut rate. I love it.
Oh, wait. The Escape's new look outside is complemented by a new look inside. The dash now looks more Super Duty than compact car and boasts much improved material quality and fit and finish throughout, including upholstery made from 100% recycled fibers. Ford claims that this will save up to 600,000 gallons of water and 7 million kilowatt hours of electricity each year. The reshaped center stack now houses a new high-mount information display and big user-friendly controls for climate, audio, energy use, and the optional navigation system, while the center console has a handy 110-volt power outlet. Rear seating is still adequate for 3 close friends, while cargo space measures 27.8 cubic feet with the second row up and a tall and wide 66 cubic feet with it down. As to personal safety, front side impact and side curtain airbags with rollover sensor are now standard.
So, you will be unsurprised to hear I love this interior. And again, kind of Ford was doing a lot right, and I feel like I was one of their target customers. The seats were comfortable because with my job, I traveled a lot. I could drive for an hour or two just in one direction, and it was unbelievably comfortable car. The dash, I talk about the dashes where they do a dark upper and like a tan lower, which is what I have in my car. It's one of my favorites. But this, they carried the tan up and then did inserts. It looks better in person than I think it does in pictures. And I want to celebrate that when we talked about the CR-V specifically, they've got the gear shift up here, more minivanish. Now it opens up the floor, okay, which is Honda thinking about space usage, but it still looks kind of minivanish compared to this thing, which looked more truckish, but not cheap truck, okay? I want to say, looking back, some of the decisions they made here around the styling of everything, the squared off, okay, I still think the radio system's a little overly big, but the buttons are squared off. The HVAC controls, they're big and they're chunky. Everything is just kind of, again, they described it as Super Duty, right? This is the same idea of what Toyota is trying to do now. They've done it in the Grand Highlander and in the Tundra, and I've been critical of it because it looks thick and chunky, and it just, to me, it comes across super nasty. This is the same idea, but Ford did it right. Everything's chunky so that it gives off truck vibes, but it's not cartoonishly big at the same time. That driver information up top, that was super useful and ergonomically wonderful. The gauges are clear. Everything's comfortable. The gear shift It doesn't look like what it was in the Rogue, right? This is an extremely well thought out, well put together, and with, as I recall, pretty high quality materials at the same time. I find it frustrating that they say the back seat is a little tight. Maybe they're talking about the width for 3 people, because the legroom was better than it was in the Rogue. And then the cargo space, not a big complaint there. It slots with the seats down. It slots somewhere between the CRV and the Rogue being smaller, the CRV being quite a bit bigger, and again, just better usage of space. If I had one thing to say, it's that if you sit in this and then you sit in a CRV, the CRV feels bigger. I'll talk more about that in just a second.
Escape hybrid prices start at $25,740 for the front-wheel drive model and $27,490 for one with four-wheel drive. Subtract government tax credits of $3,000 for two-wheel drive and $2,200 for four-wheel drive, and the fuel-sipping Escape becomes a serious hybrid bargain. With its more refined drivetrain, sharpened styling, and upgraded interior, the 2008 Ford Escape Hybrid is once again the best option for buyers who want both SUV practicality and commuter car economy.
Great review. Those prices are phenomenal. Those are both for two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. They're a little bit more expensive than what you see here with the CRV and the Rogue. So like the top of the line Rogue is $23, the top of the line CRV was $26. But then you throw a $3,000 tax credit on it. This is almost a no-brainer. That's fantastic pricing. So what you've got is one that looks a little more, I don't want to say butch, but looks a little more masculine relative to the more effeminate look of some others. And it's a great performer with great gas mileage, and it's a bargain to buy with a super comfortable interior. There's a reason Ford sold a lot of these Escapes. I don't think it ever became number one, which is kind of sad. Now, overall opinions of driving, because we didn't get 0 to 60 times in the slalom and braking and everything else. This is a competent car. And the one thing about it that is a positive and a negative to go along with the styling of it is that this car rode heavy. All right. It never felt wallowy, but it didn't feel light either. Like the car had tires on it that were too big and too heavy. It didn't ride poorly. It wasn't bad in the city. It's just if you drove a Rogue and you drove a CRV and then you hopped in this, it felt just heavy in its movements, but still entirely composed. I think you can hear in my voice, this is one of my favorite compact sport utilities. And yes, it's from, oh my gosh, 15, 16, 17 years ago. Unbelievable to me. Now, I mentioned the Escape. I still like them, right? And I want to kind of talk about that. And this might be one of the vehicles that I do a generation one after the other and review them back to back to back to see what happened. The thing is if right now somebody's like, here's $30,000 or $35,000, go buy a compact sport utility vehicle, make a list first. Well, the CRV would have to be on it. I would put the Rogue on it with some reservations, but the Escape would go on it. Now, they redesigned the Escape. They gave it a mid-fresh redesign or mid-generation refresh redesign. There we go. And I think it looks good. Do I think it looks better than the CRV, the Rogue, the RAV4, the others out there like the Outlander? No, I'm not sure I do. But it looks like something I'd be happy driving. The interior of the current one, I like the styling of it, but the materials are super cheap, and it's surprising to go back and look at this one 17 years ago, and just everything looked, the plastic looked thicker, everything just looked almost richer. I'm struggling for a different word. In between. And so yes, right now, if I wanted a compact sport utility, I would need to drive it back to back, but I would go look at the Escape. All right. And especially as a used vehicle, I think the Escape is an excellent option that I would be happy to have in my front yard. But in between, they kind of messed with the formula. They started making the nose a lot more narrow, and I didn't love it. And then they also changed the interior where I've described it as looking like a Cylon head from Battlestar Galactica. And it's the same problem that Acura has of going funky on the interior. So before I bought my car, I remember going and looking at a used Escape, and they had squared it off again, but I hated the interior. I could not imagine spending 10 years in that interior. So Ford, after this generation, they couldn't get it right all at the same time, right? They couldn't get the exterior and the interior to both be a level where I love it. The new one's kind of close. It's a little too rounded, and the interior is a little too cheap, but it still remains one of my favorite compact sport utilities out there. But this specific generation, I'm excited about it because it's if it's not my number, man, it's probably my number 2. So I'm going to stop there, guys. I appreciate you spending more than a few minutes with me to reminisce, and thanks so much for being here.